Tonight on Our Century, the agony and the ecstasy of being an Aussie teenager, when those hormones take control.
What are the in words this year?
Guess and grouse.
Screaming your head off at a concert, showing off to the girl next door, or just taking a cold shower. When you first fell in love, or just dreamed about it. Tonight, the terrible teens, for all those who can remember.
Now, back at the start of our century, places like this one here would have been absolutely unthinkable. I mean, you can't have the cafe without the teenagers. And teenagers, well, they hadn't been invented. There were just grown-ups and there were children, that's all. But here you have what became the teenage symbols. The car, maybe the guitar, but always the music, the top 40. The music gave us the teenage milestones. I remember the day that Buddy Holly died. I was shattered. I wanted to leave school. Remember the first record that you bought? Was it Elvis? Or ABBA? Maybe John Farnham? Do you remember your favourite singer way back then? And you remember the music they played on the radio, maybe in the car, when you got your first kiss?
His name was Johnny O'Keefe, or J.O. to his adoring fans. He became an icon for young Australians in the late 50s and early 60s. He was young, he was brash, and he was rebellious. He was different. They called him the Wild One. J.O.K. sang the local version of rock and roll, the American sensation that swept Australia after the war.
Well, Digby, you're a real square. Move over and make way for a cat that's really hip to rock right around the clock.
A social revolution had erupted, one that would open up a generation gap between adults and children. A gap that was filled by a new, more independent and more affluent creature called the teenager. In the early part of our century, the word teenager didn't even exist. Pubescent boys and girls were breaking out, of course, but they're often just younger versions of their parents. Once you left school, sometimes as young as 12, you were expected to be all grown up, expected to pay your way in the family. Whether they were married or unmarried, most young people lived with their parents, and Mum and Dad had a say in everything. What you did, where you went, even what clothes you wore. When a girl was trussed into her first corset, she became a woman.
Listen, Sarah, you've got to realise I'm a man now. Here, feel this.
And when a boy grew fluff on his chin, well, he was a man.
Whiskers. Oh, gee, Bill.
Young men and women were kept apart as much as possible. And when those teenage hormones started to kick in, kids were encouraged to keep active, to play sport, do anything to distract them and burn up all that energy. Some things, of course, never change. In the early part of our century, the years dominated by war and by depression, adolescence was also a roller coaster ride of emotion and discovery.
It don't mean a thing. All you got to do is sing.
World War II, and Australia became a playground for American troops based in the Pacific. But before the jungles and the Japanese, it was party time for the GIs and a turning point for Aussie teenagers. Suddenly we were blitzed by American pop culture, the dance and the dress of downtown USA. For the young blokes, fashion was a slick, shiny outfit called the zoot suit. And girls wore tight gabardine skirts with a split up the back for fast dancing. The new look came with a new name and with attitude.
I'm a budgie.
I'm a Ouija, so what?
We'd won the war, but there was a new invasion.
Well, frankly, I can't see anything wrong with the budgies and Ouijas. When I was young, we were Charleston crazy, and to my way of thinking, the children are just going through another phase.
But this was a phase that worried many parents. They felt they were losing control of where their kids went and what they got up to.
Beryl people thought that because they were quiet and respectable, their daughter couldn't go wrong. Going about with Ada wasn't doing Beryl any good. But luckily I knew her family. So that night I called on Mr. and Mrs. Bradley. Well, Mrs. Bradley, do you know where Beryl is tonight?
Why, yes, she's at the picture theatre.
You're sure?
Oh, yes. They seem to spend all their time at the pictures.
She's never content with her own home. She's always got to be out with that Ada.
Nancy's up at the pictures. Well, say you missed the train. Stay down at night, mate. What if she found out? Oh, you can't be a mummy's girl all your life. Oh, all right.
As young people began to make their own decisions, the next rebellion was just around the corner.
Let's take her down the park, eh? You all right? Come on, kid.